And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. And my heart goes boom, boom, boom.
Hello, welcome to the Health and Wellbeing Show. My name is Tranjit Bure and I'll be your host for today. I have a special guest with me. She's my friend, colleague, and also she was my client many years ago. She came and did a parenting program when I was delivering a lot of my parenting workshops back in the day. I think it was 2008 or 9 we both met, and she's a very inspirational lady who's actually coming today to share her story, how she kind of changed her life, where she was actually going through some difficult times, but and then with her thinking and being positive, changed her life around. So she's going to share those stories today. So I'm going to introduce her. Hi Jay,
Hi.
Nice to meet you. It's Jay Rathall. Nice to meet you. So tell us your background and tell us how you kind of, when we first met, what made you actually come along to a parenting program that I was delivering.
Sure. Back in 2008 or 9, I think it was.
Was it? Yes, I couldn't remember exactly. Was it 8 or 9?
Yeah, I think it was end of 2008 into 2009. He was offering a triple P course at the time, and for me, I thought that was the right move to make, because at that time I was struggling with my children.
Yeah. Because it's a triple P, which means
positive
parenting is a program.
Yeah. So I felt that I needed that at that moment, at that time, because I was sort of finding it difficult to cope with everyday tasks. So that sort of, I learned a lot of strategies within the house environment.
So what was actually going on for you at that time that made you think, right, I need to actually access a parenting program? What was actually going on with your children? And how old were your children, and how many children have you got?
My youngest was 2, I got 3 and 2 boys, and at the time they were about 7 or 8, 7 and 8. And I suffered from postnatal depression when I had my daughter. So I think things kind of escalated from there, really. And I felt I needed some support. And for me, taking that course, I felt I had the support that I needed.
Okay, so what did you kind of the core at the time? What kind of did you take on? You know, the course. What was it delivering? Because obviously I know, because I just for the viewers out there, because I was obviously the person that was delivering. What kind of did you take on board, and how did it kind of help you? What was the challenges for you at that time that really felt like you needed to kind of something to kind of like you mentioned, you had the postnatal depression. How did that kind of help? You know, you going on these parenting programs. What was going on within the home with the children?
I think for me, in terms of sort of coping with the children, the boys in particular, because when I had my daughter, it's sort of I felt in terms of organisation and things that I just couldn't cope. I just felt really low. I had low self-esteem, and
I think a lot of viewers out there or parents can actually relate to what you're saying.
And
carry on, sorry.
I just felt like I needed support, but didn't know which way to turn. And I had this support from the Rookery Centre in Handsworth, and your staff and yourself sort of pointed me in the right direction and sort of implementing different strategies.
So what were the strategies that you kind of started implementing in your home? And
well, discipline with the children. The boys weren't listening very well. I think maybe there's an element of jealousy, because I had my girl, and the boys were sort of used to my undivided attention all the time. And when I had my daughter, I sort of, not in a bad way, but it kind of turned everything upside down. I just couldn't cope, and I used those strategies to discipline them in a positive way.
Okay. So what was your health and well-being like at that time? Because I know you're saying you had a lot of kind of depression and
I felt very low in myself, and also at the same time I felt unwell all the time.
And what do you think the cause was? What was the cause of that? Do you think you're feeling unwell and
I think it's when I was feeling low, I sort of I felt like everything looked at everything in a negative way, sort of, and found it hard to get up in the morning and deal with the kids and taking them to school, doing school run. On the front, I was putting on, you know,
A front on.
a
You felt
front,
like you put
yeah.
your front on. Yeah.
But underneath it all, I felt very sort of didn't have the confidence to sort of even speak to other moms at the school, and it kind of affected me in a big way.
What about your partner, your husband? You got, you know,
He
a
was very
husband. Yeah.
supportive, but I suppose I can understand where he was coming. He wanted to help, but he couldn't. It was it's up to me. It was happening to me.
Yeah.
I needed to help
Yes.
myself, and
Okay.
I did turn to my GP, but you know, I didn't want to take the antidepressants that they offered
So
me.
you were given
So
medication for your
I was,
depression. Okay.
yeah, I was given
And you
medication.
felt like you didn't want to take them at the time.
No, I felt
What made you think you didn't want to take the antidepressants?
because I was confident that I could deal with it myself.
Even though you felt
yeah,
low and
I didn't want to take any medication. That was my decision, and so yeah, I
so
turned
how
to
did
meditation.
you deal with everything? Like you said, how
Yeah.
did you kind
I
of?
think meditation and persevering, and taking on board that what I had was good, and not to sort of I was very self-critical about everything, and but I knew deep down that you know, I was better than that. Sort of, I was constantly fighting it.
So what? So obviously you're going on to that course, and
Yeah.
that kind of gave you a bit of strategies and techniques. And what were you implementing? What were you doing with the children that made a difference in your home?
Engaging with them more, so not ignoring them, because at first I felt like by ignoring them, kind of when they wanted my attention, would sort of help. But no, they were looking for attention, because my attention was mainly on my daughter, and
So you weren't paying attention to
Yeah.
them, and that's do you think it's a lot of the cause of
Yeah,
negative behaviour when you've
definitely.
got
Yeah.
you're not paying attention to the child, and
yeah, I
lot-
felt that's what they were
yeah.
doing. They were attention seeking, and because they were used
Yes.
to mommy doing everything for them, because their dad
before
was
they
at
you
work
had yes
all the time during the day.
daughter.
But yeah, we kind of got on top of things in the end, and just keeping on top of the positive, you know.
Because giving your attention, some of the time, I think viewers might feel that children have, show challenging behaviour, and because they want their parents' attention, and we only give our attention when they misbehave, and and when they misbehave, we're shouting and screaming at them, and they show you more of that behaviour because
Yeah.
you're paying them attention. But if you pay your attention to them, if they were being good and behaving well, they'll show you more of that behaviour, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So how do you turn it around then? How did you actually really turn around them showing you challenging behaviour, or even being jealous of your daughter?
I've interacted with them a lot more, so I've taken them out, because being in the house didn't help, so
Yeah.
taking them outside,
Yes.
and fun and games, and taking them places, and sort of that was good as well. But equally in the house as well, giving them attention in the house, spending quality time together, getting them to help me tidy up, house chores and cooking, and
So you kind of got them to engage with you and
Yeah.
help them kind
Yeah.
of getting involved in the chores and
Yeah.
everything. But the thing is, we're looking at how it impacted your behaviour and the way you were, how it impacted you and how it impacted your children. Your partner as well. I mean, was you working as a parenting team?
We had to
How
work
was you,
as a
How was
team,
you actually in the home when you were going through those low moments? Obviously, you were implementing the strategies that you learned from the workshop that you attended.
Yeah.
But how were you actually, was it always going well when you were implementing, or were you having kind of finding it difficult to implement them?
times,
And how
yeah.
were you changing your mindset as well about doing things? So, how did you find
it was very challenging at first. The kids, the boys in particular, they weren't used to mummy and daddy being kind of firm with them.
So you started becoming firmer with it,
yeah,
did you?
but in a positive way, and sort of giving them time out as well.
Okay.
That helped, and they started realising that when their behaviour was, you know, out of line, then they had to be disciplined. But it definitely helped them, and even equally at school as well.
And how did you, even though you was given those strategies, how did you actually change your mindset? What kind of way did you start thinking differently? Did it make you think differently, or did you think, you know, however you know, you having those low days and low points in your life, how did you actually kind of?
It did, because I was
felt?
consistent
Yes.
with everything, and that's the key point. You have to be consistent. If you stop doing those things, then you go back to square one. And
Okay.
and I found being consistent with them, it definitely was a positive result all round.
Okay.
It was hard work at first, I've got to be honest, and but perseverance and just keeping on top of things. And I found time to meditate
Okay,
as well.
that's good. That sounds really good. We're gonna take a short break, and we're gonna maybe continue about your own strategies on maybe meditation and you know, other way of coping when you were going through these low moments, because obviously viewers out there want to know more. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back.
And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. And my heart goes boom, boom, boom. Hey!
Welcome back to the Health and Wellbeing Show. And I was just before the break, I was talking to Jay, and we were discussing about how you got strategies in place by attending a parenting program that really helped you, and then you started implementing it in your home. And then you spoke about, kind of just before the break, about one of your strategies was meditation, and also disciplining, and also having consistency with your children. So talk us more about, you know, how you started seeing things differently, because obviously we have as human beings, we have a pattern of thinking, and it's very difficult to get ourselves out of that pattern. How did you actually get yourself out of that, you know, the negative mindset that you know, millions of us have when we're going through low points in our life? I know the parenting program helped you, but how did you kind of get out of it? How did you think what helped you?
Well, I thought, first of all, I started the day with meditation, and that sort of made me be more calm. Started the day off on a positive note. Affirmations as well, repeating them, and
So how did you come about those? Because I know I knew from when we did the parenting program, then we hadn't met for a few years, had we? And then we met again after, I think it was probably about 3 years or more, was it? I can't remember, but then we started work, you know, and you did mention to me at that time you were going through some difficult times again, weren't you?
There was sort of everybody, I suppose, they go through some challenging times with families, friends and things.
Life is a roller coaster, like they
yeah,
say, don't they?
yeah. So there were testing times, but keeping focused and keeping myself busy, that really helped. And
so keeping focused on what you want,
and busy with sort of, and keeping sort of you know, fixated on what I wanted, and looking forward to that. And but I did notice within a few months that things were improving. So that was when I sort of, you know, held on to those strategies.
So when you were going through those rough times, what was actually happening for you? What was actually going on for you? Because we just want to get the viewers to see where you obviously, you know, got out of, you know, thinking negatively, obviously the third parent, and then after a while it kind of happened, the pattern came again. So I want to get the viewers to see how you kind of got yourself out of it, like you just mentioned, through meditation and through affirmations. And
well, once the triple peak was completed, going back sort of on my own and not having that consistent support, kind of I noticed that over a period of time I started falling back into a depression mode, and I felt very unwell within myself as well, and felt like I couldn't go out and mix and socialise with people.
So your well-being was being affected by not interacting, and
I think it was not going out as well as much as I used to.
Isolating yourself.
I was, so I didn't realise that I was going sort of deeper and deeper, you know, and didn't have. I had very low self-esteem and didn't have confidence. Just even attending family events and things like that. But it wasn't until 2 years ago when I bumped into you again, and I felt you explained that you was doing your coaching.
Also, yes, right,
and
okay.
offering that, and you, once you started coaching me, it sort of brought me back on top again, and within a few months.
So give the viewers, I mean, I'm a coach, but give the viewers a picture of what's the coaching strategies that you felt like you needed at that time, and what you started implementing. And
Yeah,
so.
well, I needed to work on my confidence and staying confident, and believing that, yes, there was hope, but you had to develop your own mindset as well, and open up. And yeah, it's a challenge, but you stay motivated, and I got that motivation from you. And yeah.
And that, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I'm just saying, normally that's fantastic you're saying from you, but it's all, I always say, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink it. So for me to kind of, that's brilliant. I think grateful for you to actually say that. But the main thing is that you actually implemented it, because I always say to a lot of my clients that I can give you a lot of suggestions and coach you, but the main thing is, and give you tasks to do, and the main thing is, if you don't fulfill them, then you're not going to make the change. So it's about the individual, isn't it?
It is.
It's like yourself, you wanted to make that change, and we can easily get people to tell people to do things, but it's up to them. So really, it's credit to you, because that you actually wanted to make that change, and to make that change, you felt really that I can't continue this anymore. And when I remember when we did meet, you wanted a bit of support on your self-esteem and your confidence. And what strategy you felt like that really kind of got you to open up?
I think it was when my oldest son was struggling at school. He was a victim of bullying at the time, and that kind of, I felt like there wasn't enough support out there, and I knew that I had to do something about it myself, and that's when I decided, bring positivity into the house and think for solutions to deal with problems, and taught my son also to get through it as well.
So give us an example then. So what kind of example?
Well, for myself, I wrote down my goals and what I wanted to achieve, and
that was that you felt like you really focused on what you wanted.
And also I was continuously making notes and seeing where I progressed, and each week I can see that change in myself as well, my way of thinking, especially through those challenging moments.
So how was you thinking before, and how did you start thinking, and how did you make that change? Because obviously a lot of people started thinking positive, but how did you actually make that change?
Just stopped my negative thoughts, thinking, and being more positive, and being watchful of what I was saying.
Okay.
And just being consistent with everything I was doing, and there was definitely positive results.
So being that security guard of your mind, like I always say, of stopping those negative thoughts before you actually have them, because those control a lot of our emotions, don't they? And that bring on, I remember you mentioning to me before, that brings on, you thinking negative brings on your confidence, low self-esteem, but it's kind of helped you, because I remember when we first met that you mentioned a lot about that you didn't have confidence to talk, and here you are on TV today talking openly, and I think when I met you a year ago, you wasn't actually like that. So what else has given you the boost of confidence? What else has actually, yes, it's thinking, changing your thought patterns. What else? Because you mentioned affirmations as well. What else as well?
Also keeping myself busy and engaging myself in taking part in voluntary work as well, and doing sort of supporting charity events and things as well, and you know, getting out the house, you know, getting fresh air and doing some hobbies and reading and things like that.
So getting yourself busy
yeah.
and actually focusing on yourself, even though you've got a family, do you think it's important to focus on yourself and, you know, meet your own needs first?
I felt like everything, there had to be a balance with everything, but not necessarily for me. That I don't think that was what was required. I think I just, as long as I was happy and the house, the family environment was happy. I mean, we did manage everything and giving each other support. And
so previously you thought that there was no balance, and
yeah,
then now you thought that there's more of a balance.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But just you sort of work through it as a family, and you know, if you want it to work, you will find a way. You know, for it to work.
So a lot of the changing your mindset was and changing your family environment was, you know, it's you to make that change, isn't it? It's nobody else can force that change upon you. And how has your, you know, being positive impacted your family and your children, you know, and your husband, and maybe the extended family? How has that? How do you think that has kind of, you know, changed your life?
Yeah. Well, whatever I was feeling and how I made improvements within myself, I gave them guidelines and helped them to think differently as well, to get rid of negative emotions. And my husband was suffering from vertigo for the last 3 years, and he started saying affirmations and thinking positively. And
so give us an example about the affirmations that he started saying about.
It is
that's quite
affirmation
powerful,
about health.
yeah.
And he repeats that daily, quite a few times, sometimes a day, and it hasn't come back. It's because he believes, you know, in what he was saying. And,
that's really interesting. So really, mind over matter,
yeah.
mind over medicine, maybe.
Yeah. He doesn't take any medication for it, and it's controlled.
Thank you for that. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and maybe discuss that even further. You know, mind over medicine. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back shortly.
And my